the agenda is the invocation given by Bishop Billy Clark of the Believers Christian Cathedral, followed by the pledge of allegiance to the same.
Oh, Father, we thank you once again for this day, Lord. We are praying for the city manager, assistant city manager, mayor, and this council, Father, everyone that's involved in this meeting tonight. Father, we ask that you give them wisdom and knowledge to lead the city in the direction that you would have it to. In Christ Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Let's face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item on the agenda, here statements from persons wishing to address the council. We have one, Mr. Basil Zangari.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, let's not kill ourselves tonight. You're not here to serve the people. You're to silence me, retaliate against me, and bury the corruption that rose in the city like a crooked salesman, trying to unload on London on an unsuspecting buyer. Now, on August 5th, after weeks of being stonewalled, you finally let me put that reaction software on the agenda. But oh no, wait. Only on the night when you knew there was another event going on in town. So there'd be nobody here like tonight. That way they can't hear it. And when I brought my presentation, magically 2 slides disappeared. Slides showing that even free software in the Adobe Premiere program that the city already pays for can do simple reactions. I've got that right there. Funny how that happened, right? I've got proof. Right here. City pays for Adobe. And under the Texas Open Meetings Act, by altering or deleting my submitted records is a violation of the law. True facts. You don't get to rewrite the people's business just because it exposes your lies. Then on August 13th, I posted the other proof. Text messages between city manager Megan and the mayor. Sabotaging, conspiring, taking those 2 slides out. And on tonight, you're trying another stuff. Slipping a brand new fee schedule for records into the consent agenda. Pretending like you have the authority to override the Texas Attorney General's cost rules. That's when I called you out in writing. I sent you an email. You scrambled to move to the regular agenda. That's not transparency, that's cover. That's conspiracy. So let's be perfectly clear. I'm putting this council on official notice. You're committing crimes, not mistakes. Crimes. Conspiracy to commit abuse of official capacity, misapplication of fiduciary property, tampering with governmental records, perjury, official oppression, obstruction, and retaliation, tampering with physical evidence, failure to comply with the Public Information Act, and yes, possible violations of conflict of interest laws, but not filling out a conflict of interest affidavits. I'm not here talking about lawsuits, I'm talking about criminal charges. Charges that I intend to bring against officials in their individual and official capacity. And if any council member here votes tonight to approve that illegal fee schedule, you're putting yourself right on that list. Every last one of you, I'm demanding right now that you wise up, make a motion to remove this item from the agenda, and stop the city from digging its hole any deeper. Because listen to me, you don't know who you're dealing with. I don't quit, I don't get scared, and I don't stop. Corruption in the city is a cancer, and I will cut it off. Piece by piece, day by day, until accountability and the rule of law are restored in Hillsborough. You've all been warned.
Can I have a copy of that myself?
Absolutely. It's also on Facebook and on social media.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, deliver and act on the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on August 5th, 2025. Act on the approval of bills, deliver and act on a resolution accepting the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission to replat lot 23 Buckingham, becoming lots 23R-1 and 23R-2 Buckingham in the city of Hillsborough, being the same property by reference as recorded in volume 2363, page 196 of the official public records of Hill County, Texas, also known as 422 Matthew Street. deliberate and act on a resolution to award a contract to Don's Lawn Service LLC for groundskeeping services and authorizing the mayor or city manager to negotiate and execute all necessary documents. Council, does anybody have any questions with regards to the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
We got a motion and a second.
Councilmember Fleming.
Aye.
Councilmember Lloyd.
Aye.
Councilmember Robinson. Councilmember Hernandez. Councilmember Richmond. Councilmember Jolly.
Moving on to the regular agenda, hold a public hearing, first reading, and deliberate on an ordinance establishing a fee schedule for open records requests.
Mayor and council, the city receives a significant number of open records requests. Fulfilling those requests is an important part of our function. And frankly, while it may feel burdensome at times, it is a privilege. It is part of what we are here to do. However, the cost of fulfilling these requests is not insignificant. We are legally allowed to recover some, not all, but some of the costs of fulfilling open records requests. Those legal limits are established by the Open Records Division. And what is in your packet is a policy that limits our ability to charge for open records requests to the limits found in statute. So everywhere there's a limit, that's what we're proposing to charge. The first 36 minutes worth of labor would not have a charge, so charges would begin after that for non-commercial requests. The policy is found in your packet, you can review it. The one point where there is an error in the policy, on item number 6, it says $18.75 an hour for labor. It should be $15. We're able to apply for a waiver. State agencies are limited to $15 an hour. We are able to apply for a waiver to increase that by 25%. There's no one who's responding to open records requests whose labor isn't well above the $18.75 that we would be able to charge when we have a waiver. So that's, at some point in the future, if we get the waiver, we'll be able to move to that number. But right now, $15 is the limit. And I want to stress, this isn't going to cover its cost. So a couple of weeks ago, we reviewed an option to look at redaction software, and the argument was made that we could justly recover some of the costs of that as part of providing that service. This is exactly the same. It wouldn't recover the entire cost, but it would help us because while we have a duty to do this work, we also have a duty to do all of the other work. And so if additional manpower is required to fulfill these requests timely, as we're required to do, without infringing on other work, then this at least gives us a partial ability to make sure that that labor is in place. This is coming to you at first reading. Any questions for staff at this point?
Council, any questions? This is the first reading, it is a public hearing, we'll open it up to anyone in the audience that would like to address this specific agenda item.
All right, I won't take long, this is pretty good. No, here we are again, another council meeting, another attempt to include legal records fee schedule. As if the Attorney General of Texas hasn't already made it crystal clear, she just said that these are already regulated by state law. Not by the whims of Hillsborough politicians looking to cover the tracks. I have a policy, we need to have some ordinance for it. It's already on the state books. Let me spell it out as a member of the press. I don't pay your fees. The Attorney General has already said my fee reduction waiver applies under the Texas Public Information Act, same as hers was over there reporting. And indigent, those are poor people. Those citizens, people without money, can also file for records without being punished, but instead of respecting the law, you're scheming up new ways to tax transparency, to squeeze the public, and to silence people who dare to expose what you're doing. Now, you think it's about me, right? You think that, just slapping illegal fee on records press and just somehow shut up the so-called loudmouth agitator? I'm sure that's what you guys say behind closed doors. But funny, you never say it to my face. You just conspiring back rooms whispering how to shut you down. That's the records I get. I get those records because of the text messages I show you. Well, there's a newsflash. Every time you do this, you prove my point. Every time you try to silence me or refuse records or charge, you show the public how corrupt and desperate you really are. Now, let's be real about your motives. This isn't about fees. This is about retaliation, oppression, money. You're bleeding the citizens around traffic tickets, petty ordinances, violations, just so you can prop up that outlet on property you should have never bought in the first place. And now you want to nickel and dime the people for requesting public records? Records they have a right to see. You guys are terrified of seeing these records because it exposes you. So here's my idea. This council must vote no on this illegal fee schedule because one already exists set by the Attorney General. You don't get to make your own law. And let me be clear, anyone who votes yes tonight is putting themselves directly on the list of officials I will be filing criminal charges against. Not litigation, charges. Abuse of official capacity, official oppression, tampering with governmental records, misapplication of fiduciary property, the whole line. For those of you who actually vote no, you will be remembered as true heroes of the people, representing the oath and the law you swore to uphold. But the rest of you, go ahead. Oh yes, break the law, on the record, in front of everyone. And then watch what follows, because the people of Hillsborough deserve the truth, and you are not going to silence me or them with your illegal fees. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience that would like to address the agenda item at hand? We'll close the public hearing and move on to the next agenda item. Hear and deliberate on the presentation regarding the proposed 2025-2026 budget.
Mayor, Council, the summary that I've laid for you, what we did last time, the only new item that we have is health insurance. You know, the health care came in at a 39% increase, and we decided to go with Scott White, HMO, which the increase in dollars at $137,000.
I think it's important to understand that providing benefits for our employees is one of our most important jobs. We have worked through many different possible plans. We're trying to find something that preserves as good coverage as possible for our employees. Last year, we were really able to do some good plans. This year, the 39% increase, we were really stuck. And sometimes we're able to go back and question some of the data and get a little bit better number. This year, people were pretty firm. There were some significant needs on the part of our employees in the last 12 months. And so that meant that the cost of providing insurance has dramatically increased. HMO plans are not necessarily a favorite, but we did go through with our provider and make sure that the local doctors, the local hospital, those local providers are still going to be available to them, and it will not need a referral to go to a specialist. So with those things being important to our employees, we felt that we were at least able to preserve that. And some of the prescription coverage may even be a little bit better for this plan.
And there is a viable plan where I think it was a $3,000 deductible. There's a viable where it would be easy. We do provide 100% of the employees' health benefits. So, and a portion of employee children, employee spouse, employee family.
we received all the welfare quotes already on their own.
Yes. We had a meeting yesterday afternoon, and we, not a lot of the carriers were budgeting. 39% was
Not the worst.
not.
And we looked at, it's always an option for us to pay less of the cost of the insurance for the employee, but, you know, times are tough, inflation is still real, you know, we just didn't feel like we could do less than we've been doing. So we felt like this was the best.
In this budget, we really tried to concentrate on the employees. We did some salary structures that kind of got the competitive level field with surrounding communities.
Well, and there were some places where, so we've gone through, we've benchmarked other communities and looked at our salaries in relation. And we're not, it's not that at every level we need to be making what people in other cities are making, but there are competitive positions that really are kind of comparable. We want to try to be as competitive as we can on those comparable positions. And then for positions that are at a similar level, we want to make sure that those positions are compensated at a similar level. And so we went through across departments to try to find if there are outliers where there's fairness issues that need to be addressed. And we're going through and addressing those in this budget. So overall, if you want to call it a cost of living increase, we're looking at 1.5%. But that is basically for most employees. But then we're making these targeted changes where we felt there was a fairness issue.
And then one of the big items that we are doing, January 1, on TMRS, the contribution for the employees will go from 5% to 6%. I think most cities around here are around 7%. We felt it better to stair-step it.
We've been at 5. We've been trying to get to 7. It's a big jump to 7. It's a really big jump to 7 because every time we go up on a retirement contribution, it's twice as much for the city as it is for the employee. And if we go up on the employee contribution, we also have to match that with a similar amount of raise for the employee, or their paycheck is going to go down. We don't want that to happen. So there's another 1% raise for all employees that will go into effect January 1 at the same time as the increase in retirement, so that their paychecks will stay level as we make that change. And hopefully, maybe not next year, hopefully next year, but the goal is to get to 7, where the majority of cities around us are.
And to fund this, I think we're looking at the voter approval rate. And so we'll be talking about the tax rate on September 2nd.
Talked about yeah, so we have received the increase from Coldwater. We are going to have to raise water rates again. We expect that to be around a 17% increase. And so we'll be bringing you those rate changes when we bring the budget.
Some of the total change is, they could have went up higher.
Right, so the Aquila's plan was to increase by $1 million this year and another $1 million next year. And we went to the board and said, look, if you increase our rates by $1 million this year, we don't have any money, not one additional dollar to go out and do as much as we can to reduce water loss. If we would back off of that increase a little bit and let us have this year to do a couple of projects and try to lower that water loss, then we'll be in a better financial position next year when you come back for the additional increase. And Aquila since they refunded and they reduced the amount that they were going up this year. That doesn't mean that we're not going to have to spend that money though. We have to still spend that money. We have to spend it on our system to replace those leakiest pipes. so that we're in better shape next year. The more water we lose to water leaks, the higher everybody's cost is. That's having a long-term depressing or an increasing effect on rates. So we have to have enough quote-unquote extra money beyond just operations to be able to replace some of these leaky water lines, or we're just gonna get more and more behind.
Open it up for questions if you have any.
Councilman, questions?
Do you have numbers, well, my first question, what percentage of the spouse and or children currently pay?
Oh, I can get that for you. What we do, I do a pickup. So like an employee only is, just for example, is $500. So I take that $500 and subtract it off of the employee spouse or the employee child. And then I do a pickup after that Megan and I will sit down. And actually, the pickup is going to probably increase 10% this year. It's,
Because the new plan is more expensive. So, it's more expensive for us, more expensive for the employee, for that family or spouse coverage that they have to pay the extra out of pocket. So we're looking to pick up a little bit more of that share from the employee to soften the blow on their paycheck.
I think the employees portion, just employee child, our two main participant groups are employee only, of course, and employee child. And employee child, the employees out of pocket per month was $86 currently. It's going to go up to about $221 or something.
I think that was about, I think it was about 160 maybe, but the pickup the same. They're looking at increasing the pickup by about 10%, which will bring it to about, I want to say it was about $115. So about a $40 a month increase for the employees. We had a pretty good deal last year, honestly.
Appreciate it, and you're sitting in all those insurance meetings. I send out what rates have gone drastically. Definitely agree with that. Best one is the HMO plan. So. Something. Council, any more questions? Definitely. Next item on the agenda here, deliberate on city manager report.
Mayor and council, I think everybody here is a veteran, so you know that this is the second meeting of the month, so we're doing the second half of our 8 strategic goals. Goal number 5 is to build better infrastructure. There are 45 days remaining in the contract. By golly, they'll be done in 45 days, if not more. We expect payment in the next 2-3 weeks. It was supposed to be this week. We got knocked back a little bit with some unexpected August rain, but still, we're very, very close to being done with this project, and that's exciting. We still haven't closed out the water tower project. The work is done, but we still have about $800,000 left to draw down from Texas Water Development Board. I finally got them on the phone 2 weeks ago, and they were going to have something to us by the beginning of last week on working with us to get the rest of that money down, and still nothing. So we continue to work on it, but that's why it's still hanging out there even though the project is complete. The hits just keep coming. We got the word today that after our $35 million application for economically distressed areas program funding timed out, our application for drinking water state revolving fund, that was our backup application. We applied for $50 million in funding for Texas Water Development Board. The rankings have come out and our application was not among the top ranked projects. So we're somewhere on the list, but we're so far down, we're not gonna get money. That puts us back to square one. And for those who've been following along, the reason this money is so important is because we are sitting on a network of 100-year-old water lines and leaking really, really expensive water. You know, the engineers have estimated $55 to $65 million to replace the lines that need to be replaced. So absent this funding, we're certainly going to keep applying. Like that's not a thing, but we've got to start doing projects ourselves. It's just not a choice to do nothing. So our ability to move the needle is going to be smaller, but we're going to be doing that. So that will be happening over the next year. We have explored costs for the first project, and we'll be expecting to have that teed up to go basically October 1 as soon as we've got the new budget in place. Goal 6, deliver essential services. Continue to be expecting the next steps on the facilities master plan. Working on utility cuts. Police and fire, we're reviewing departmental policies and personnel needs as we go through the budget process. Have met and discussed with the fire commission the results of their investigation, and there was subsequent continuing education performed by the fire division. That continuing education has been completed, all of those hours have been submitted. I visited with folks at the fire commission myself personally and have confirmed that they are satisfied at this point and we're on the right track. Regarding animal control, we have passed our state kennel inspection, so that's a good thing. And then continue to be working through, water parks, solid waste, kind of same old story, same old song and dance. There we go. So business attraction, we have the same projects: dispatch, freeze pop, and treasure hunt. Continuing to move forward, there's a road that may need to be constructed in the industrial park. So we're working through engineering to get that ready, that will provide access via Project Freeze Pop to Project Dispatch. And continue to work with Retail Coach on various businesses for different locations here in town. Main Street continues to chug along. There's an announcement this week that there's been a buyer for the Main Street Furniture Building that used to be Sears. So that's going to be a new retail location. And then as we continue to work on the redevelopment of the outlet mall, we've got following projects expected to deliver basically spring of next year. Mall demolition is underway, and we're working to get ready to go out for bids on the design for the glow up of the remaining buildings. Just remind everybody, this is kind of generally the idea. We are keeping one standalone building at the back of the north side of the mall, and then this group of buildings that we now affectionately call the Mall-Mageddon buildings. And the idea is to just, kind of destroy the visual links to the outlet mall so that new businesses can come in and feel like they're starting from a clean slate. This is the layout. People are familiar with this. And the project names refer to the pads down here. So Project Nosh, this is a spec building, Chili's, Panda, Project Joe, spec, and Waffle House. When I say spec, one of those buildings I think is actually going to be constructed, but for the most part, they're just available for future brands that will be announced later. On the library, so Goal 8, enhance quality of life. Library, preparing for work on the doors. They're offering their regular programming. Parks and Rec, we've still got baseball, softball, and there is a tournament this weekend. Talked about insurance costs. We've got several vacancies. Some are being filled now, some are being held. October 1 with the new budget year. And I just want to shout out Russell Keelan at the library. He will this week celebrate 40 years of employment with the city of Hillsborough. I remember going to the library when I was a little girl and checking out books from Russell, so it's pretty cool. We've still got a hiatus on our Music in the Yard, and the next major downtown event will be Autumn Fest. Any questions for me?
Council, any questions?
What is NOSH? That's a code name.